tonight with me, Ankur Mishra and Sumita Kareer. Today, a story once again which we don't want to talk about day after day. Yes, IndiGo crisis. 6 days since the widespread flight disruptions, and IndiGo is still grappling to restore normalcy. On Monday itself, IndiGo has cancelled 562 flights from 6 metro airports, 150 cancellations stemming from Bengaluru airport alone. Amid the chaos, Moodys has warned of a financial setback to the airline. In a note, Moody said that the disruptions are credit negative because IndiGo could face significant financial damage from loss of revenue because of flight cancellations, refunds and other compensation to the affected customers, along with the potential penalties imposed by DGCA in recent development. And Sumita, this story is not ending.
Absolutely, Ankur. And here at ET Now, we have been tracking all the developments that are related to IndiGo. And now sources tell ET Now that IndiGo's management has responded to the DGCA's notice. CEO and the COO of the airlines, they have submitted a response which will now be examined by the DGCA. And this week-long crisis has exposed the fault lines in India's aviation sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the high dependency on IndiGo and Air India, the crammed airports and passengers' ire has put the spotlight on why this duopoly in the Indian skies must end and make way for a new aviation model for companies. India's aviation minister has also said that India has the capacity for 5 major airlines. Let's listen to an excerpt of what the Union Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu stated earlier in the day-to-day on this entire fiasco and overall on the aviation industry.
There have been a lot of internal complications. This is a day-to-day operations thing that the IndiGo should have maintained. IndiGo was supposed to manage the crew, was supposed to manage the roster through its day-to-day operations. We are there to check if the FDTL is properly implemented or not, and there has been no compromise on that side. And for one thorough full month, we have been observing. On 1st of December, we had a meeting with IndiGo on FDTL itself. When they required some clarifications, we have given the clarifications also with that idea, and they have not flagged this issue. So everything was running normal till then. Suddenly, we have observed this on 3rd. Immediately, once this was observed, the ministry came into the picture. We have taken over the situation at the airports. We have consulted all the stakeholders, and then you have seen how things have unfolded for those 2 days. Definitely, there was a lot of difficulty that has faced by the passengers. And as a closing statement also, let me tell you that we are not taking this situation easily. We are doing an inquiry, and we will take very, very strict action, not only for this situation, but also as an example. We will set an example for all the airlines. If there is any miscompliance, any non-compliance or non-adherence for any single person, any entity or any organization or any operator functioning in this civil aviation, we will take very, very strict action so that we set an example in the industry.
The minister is making clear that there will be no stone unturned to take action on IndiGo. Having said that, IndiGo is supposed to have submitted the response on why this problem happened. And my colleague Sameer Dikshit is joining just on that. Now, IndiGo is saying that they cannot ascertain the exact reason. Is that correct, Sameer? And why are they saying so?
So, IndiGo has submitted response to the show cause notice that was issued by DGCA. Now, IndiGo CEO and Chief Operating Officer, they have submitted the response. And in their response, they have highlighted a couple of things. First is that they have expressed apologies for the great inconvenience caused to the passenger in the last couple of days. Secondly, when it comes to the massive flight disruption, IndiGo has highlighted that there are compounding factors behind the flight disruption. The first one is the technical glitches. They have also mentioned about the adverse weather conditions. They have mentioned about the schedule changes because of the weather, because of the winter season. In addition to this, IndiGo has also highlighted that there were challenges in implementing the revised or the new FDTL norms, especially the phase 2, which comes into existence from 1st of November 2025. So they have highlighted these 5 important factors which led to massive flight disruption. But in their response, nowhere it was highlighted that why the hiring was not done to meet the requirement, because we all know that every TL, it was being discussed for last almost 1.5 years, and the airlines have to prepare for the same. That was not highlighted. In addition to this, they have also mentioned that the steps taken by the airline to attain normalcy or to stabilize the flight operation. For example, IndiGo has mentioned that they have executed that the flight operations, it has gone up from 700 to 1800 in last 3 days. So this all aspect has been highlighted in their response. As of now, DGCA is examining the response of IndiGo management, and the further action will be decided by DGCA in coming days. But whatever the response that that IndiGo has submitted, it is basically that they have highlighted that there are 4 or 5 factors that led to massive flight disruption. But why the crew rostering was not done properly, why the hiring was not done? So these are a couple of important questions which are yet not answered through this response.
Right. Right. Samir, it's very interesting that IndiGo ascribes these disruptions to minor technical glitches. But ironically, these minor technical glitches, if they were so minor, why could they not have been handled? Well, on that note, thank you very much for bringing us the very latest as far as this particular story is concerned. We'll be coming back to you whenever there are updates. But let's, ladies and gentlemen, go across to our guest who's joining us live. Captain Minoo Wadia is the president of the Federation of Indian Pilots, is joining us. Also joining us along with Mr. Wadia is Mr. Surjit Panesar. He is an aviation expert. Let me come to you first, Mr. Panesar. We did hear what the Union Aviation Minister stated. He said that we are conducting an inquiry, we will take strict action, and we will set an example with the kind of action that the government of India undertakes. But my question is, there are barely a few airlines in the country, and why is then the government unable to handle compliance? It's not really that we have, multitude of airlines operating in the country.
Well, IndiGo is supposed to be one of the best airline, domestic airline with a lot of flights operating on time. People are proud of flying by IndiGo. Now, this strategy of grounding the flights, cancelling the flights, is not all of a sudden. It's a well-planned strategy to blackmail DGCA. DGCA, a year back, they issued a flight and duty time limitation where the rest for the flying crew after operation of flight by night or number of hours they have flown. Now, this could have been objected by the airline if they cannot meet that requirement, talk to the DGCA across the table. But instead of doing that, suddenly 5 days, 6 days ago, they woke up from their slumber sleep. They said, we cannot operate it. And they wanted to make use of the innocent traveling public to blackmail DGCA. So they started cancelling flights, causing a lot of harassment to the public. Now the apology of the CEO is a stupid apology. By giving your ticket, refunding your money is not a big thing. You've done it. They have a right to take that money back. Otherwise, there'll be legal action against you. But what about the harassment you have caused them? They come to the airport with their children, family, old ladies, old parents, and they're staying there a number of hours. You don't give them in food, hotel accommodation, or even water to drink. Is it not a matter of shame? Why they planned this strategy? I think that our honorable minister has ultimately risen to occasion and given a strict instruction to the airline by today evening pay all the money they paid to the paid by the passenger for the ticket. But they should have given the penalty also on this. A passenger who's staying in the airport for 1 day, 2 days without flight goes to the aircraft with a boarding card and they say no, flight is cancelled. It's a buddy harassment. What can be a best harassment than this? People have different motives. They come to the airport, they buy ticket to reach for the marriage, interview, medical, so many other problems. And last minute when they get a message the flight is cancelled, how shockingly this statement is accepted. But these people, airline owners, they have a lot of muscle power to blackmail DGCA and ministry. They thought the pressure by the public will convince them to withdraw their circular. But DGCA has withdrawn their circular. They have gone back to the old circular. Then why they have not started the normal flights? You see, you call the experts in aviation, like our old Director General Civil, Mr. M.R. Shivaraman. or you call Shri P. Sen, who was MD of Indian Airlines. They'll solve the problem in few hours. But they don't want to solve the problem. They want to create further problem by harassing the passenger. ठीक है, the money is not a big favor down to the passenger. They have a right to take their money with the interest and penalties. But what about
Right,
the harassment you
right,
caused them?
Mr. Panesar, you have made a valid point. If the problem is so much solvable, why it is not getting solved? I want to come to you, Minoo, for that. Now, IndiGo, in their response, has given 4 reasons why these problems happen. 1, technical glitches. That is the topmost problem. Another thing, adverse weather conditions, in congestion in the system, and the last problem is the flight duty operations circular which was issued by DGCA. Now in this scenario, do you think action can be taken on them?
100% yes, and all these are only excuses. There is absolutely no substance in the excuses that have been given by IndiGo. So I agree with Captain Panesar totally, but I'll go have a different perspective to this whole thing. First of all, this is not an issue of disrupting flights or cancellation of flights, which happens quite often. This is a tsunami, which is a national disgrace. Our whole country has been given a bad name by inducing this sort of a major collapse, a tsunami. So therefore, it is not a matter of a disruption of flights. This is a criminal offense and should be treated as a criminal offense totally. And the minister has said time and again that he's having a high-level inquiry. I'd like to ask the minister who is doing the inquiry, because if the DGCA or some of the bureaucrats are doing the inquiry, it serves no purpose whatsoever. It is just like putting problems under the carpet. So you must have a judicial inquiry with proper aviation experts to guide the inquiry and take proper action on this. And my question again to the DGCA. First of all, is the DGCA competent to be the DGCA
Absolutely,
itself?
Mr. Wadia.
Yes.
Right. Right, Mr. Wadia, very valid point that you have mentioned essentially about, how does IndiGo go on again and again with the kind of breaches that we've seen over the past 1 week. And that really is reflective of a lot on, of course, definitely the airline, the lack of accountability that it feels. It feels that it can take it can take flyers for a ride. And secondly, what does that really say and state about the status of how regulatory bodies essentially are functioning in the country? And I'll tell you why. Because in terms of action, IndiGo has swung into action in terms of refunds, constituting a crisis management group, and amongst the other measures that it has taken only after public anger blasted. And even now, IndiGo has failed to adhere to the DGCA order of ensuring 100% ticket cancellation refund by 8 p.m. Sunday. And that says a lot about how the airline is looking at flyers. But more importantly, what does it tell you about the status of regulatory mechanisms that exist in the country?
See, you have addressed the problem which is happening over the period of years. For the last 50 years, we've been trying to tell the DGCA 2 things. One is the whole revamping of the whole office of the DGCA, because it's filled with only bureaucrats who do not understand fundamentals of aviation, to start with. And second point is to have an independent safety board for safety issues. The DGCA has constantly resisted it because it did not want to relinquish the power that it has. And the government of India has given the DGCA enough strong powers to regulate safety of the country, where they are not equipped, they do not have the knowledge how to improve the aviation safety. You have to have an independent safety board to start with. And again, the DGCA has exonerated and given dispensation on a safety matter. How on earth can the minister or even the DGCA dispensation to something which is a safety matter? It cannot be compromised. It has to be honored in toto, and safety under no circumstances can be compromised. And therefore, that's not treated as a normal thing for discussion and put the matter, forget the matter tomorrow. There has to be strict legal action taken, and people must be arrested, because this is a criminal offense. Or whoever's responsible, let them face the music as a criminal offense.
Right. Mr. Panesar, I want to come to you now. Everyone wants to know whether or not there will be action on IndiGo. Minister did mention in the parliament, but there is a due process to be followed as far as the statement which has been given by IndiGo is simply saying that the reason which everybody was talking about is not there. Therefore, I want to ask that how an action can be taken on IndiGo without proper procedure and substance.
Well, let me tell you, madam, when they signed a contract with the government of India, they gave them an operator's license to operate an airline. We have to go through it whether they violated in those clauses or not. If they violate the clause, they can cancel the license. They will come on their knees. And now they've hired foreigner imported officers, जिनको पंजाबी में कहते पहाड़े के टट्टू. What they were doing, they didn't realize that there's shortage of staff. Overnight, they got up from their bed while dreaming, they ground the flights. Why this sudden decision they have taken it? Why not 1 month ago, 2 months ago? Why suddenly they decided? No, the solution is we have experts in our country, honest and experienced people who have handled aviation, large aviation industry, like our former DGCA, Mr. Shivaraman. He was not only a bureaucrat, he was a pilot also. He understood the problems of pilots as well as the airline. Mr. P.C. Sen, who handled Indian Airlines so successfully that we are making a lot of profit doing that. Why don't you take their advice? Call them for a meeting. Is there any harm in calling them, listening to them? They can give you better advice. No, airline, the private airline owners, they are very, very powerful. They have a lot of muscle power. They don't care. But I only wish and pray to God that the order issued by the Mantri are obeyed by the airlines immediately. No, you can pay the money of ticket which they purchase. That is their right, they take it. If you don't get it, it'll be a criminal action against you. But what about the inconvenience caused to them? Who's going to pay for their inconvenience? You are going to attend some death when I suppose these people who planned this cancellation of flight, their father or mother are dead deathbed, and the doctor says, come immediately, the flight is cancelled. How would you feel it? Is it not a matter of shame? They have ruined the name of aviation in India. The whole world is
Absolutely, sir.
laughing at the mockery of aviation in India. Why they have done this thing? Tell me. Because the
Absolutely,
government
Mr.
has to be
Panesar.
very
In fact,
serious
when we
and take
look at the
strict action.
past 1 week, there were two big stories that came out of it. One, on the one hand, we had the Russian President Vladimir Putin making sure that India's strategic and economic ties are solidified with Russia. And then on the other hand, this became a national embarrassment only because an airline refused to follow the rules and refused to take accountability. But let me also come to you, Mr. Wadia. Is it then time now for the entry of more airlines into India's aviation sector? And secondly, if at all there is time for more airlines to come into the space, but will that solve the issue given the fact that we have seen over the past few days the issues that have come up, they are reflective of a deeper systemic rot? And the second issue that I want to bring up to you as far as the entry of more players is concerned, this industry is extremely competitive. It's a cost burn industry. What is to ensure that these airlines that come into India's aviation sector will be able to sustain themselves without any quality compromises?
I am fully conversant with your question because I have been part of some of the airlines instrumental in planning for their functioning. To start with, of course, multiple airlines, this is a monopoly. So you cannot have a monopoly in the country. So there is no question about having more airlines. But what is far, far, far more important is to solve the systemic rot that is already in the system that today in the DGCA. Unless you sort that out, adding even 10 more airlines is not going to solve the problem. You have to first solve the problem within the DGCA. I can give you any number of examples where the DGCA has gone out of its way to prevent aviation safety from continuing, to keep the power in their own hands, to stop any other improvements in the system. And their only argument to the ministry has always been, if we do this, it will be a safety hazard. You might have accidents. They do not know what they're talking about. And I have had 50 years put into the system of asking the Prime Minister to improve the system within the DGCA itself. And no one is there to listen because there's far too much at stake for the DGCA itself.
Gentlemen, we'll also look at another angle to the story, which is a financial angle. This is a listed entity and stakeholders are involved. And therefore, the rating agencies have come into action, and credit rating agency Moody's has called IndiGo's flight disruption as credit negative and also warned of impact on airline majors' revenue. Let's go across to my colleague Ravinder to understand what is Moody's saying.
Plus, Interglobe Aviation is under pressure from the past few sessions on the back of the operational disruption, and after that, stock saw a sharp decline, and in past 7 days, stock saw a decline of approximately 13 to 14%. And after that, many brokerages has cut the target price. And now today, Moody's has come out with a note where they have highlighted certain things where they say that the IndiGo get temporary exemption from the new pilot duty with times rules framed by the DGCA, and flight cancellation refund and penalties will pose a financial risk for the airline. And they highlighted that the disruption are credit negative because IndiGo could face a significant financial damage from the loss of revenue because of the flight cancellation, refunds and other compensation to affect consumer, along with the potential penalties imposed by the DGCA. And rating agency also said that IndiGo could lose further revenue and suffer image damage after the hundreds of flights were delayed or cancelled, and when new pilot duty rules came into force during the busy winter travel period. And the agency also highlighted that recent flight disruption underscores significant lapse in the planning, oversight and resource management by IndiGo. And they have Moody's had lowered the IndiGo's human capital score to 4 as compared to 3, saying slow hiring affected operation. And Moody's also added that the IndiGo long-term fundamental remains strong, including its leading market share, healthy demand for air travel in India, and leverage projected to stay below 3.5. However, it expects profitability to weaken this FY26 and warns that the recent disruption may impact IndiGo image in international markets.
All right, Ravinder, thank you so much for that update. I want to come to you, Mr. Wadia, to understand the financial implication as well. Why I'm saying this? Because now they have almost returned 860 crore of refund. Having said that, there is disruption which is not likely to get resolved soon. I want to understand for you, can we see this problem getting solved this month? I'm not even asking this week. Is it possible?
No, it's not possible at all. For the simple reason, you are focusing on financial aspect. Even Moody's report, which you've read on financial report, I am saying it's a national embarrassment. As an Indian, the whole country has been embarrassed. Not only embarrassed, our whole reputation and India coming to be a great country, it has been brought down by this one episode itself. And therefore, first of all, there are many episodes to it. Take one episode only, which the Moody report referred to, is the flight and duty time limitation was set out by the DGCA. It was mandatory for the airline to follow it. There was a High Court order on this subject. That itself only, doesn't it constitute a criminal offense? So why isn't criminal proceedings, FIR, been filed already? And whoever it is, whether it's a foreigner or an Indian, whoever is responsible for causing this embarrassment and the amount, gross amount, as I say, it's not a small disruption of flights or tickets to cancel. It's a tsunami. It's the whole country has been affected. Hundreds and thousands of people, passengers, have been not only inconvenienced, they've had financial losses. It's a disaster. So therefore, it cannot be treated as a minor fault and money to be put in again and revive the airline. It is a criminal offense, and take criminal action not only on this one episode which I showed you. There are many areas where criminal action can be initiated.
Absolutely, Mr. Wadia. Absolutely, Mr. Wadia. Let me ask you one final question, and we have time only for one final question. And this is essentially about the kind of reforms that are needed, given the fact that we just spoke about how it is very expensive, how operating in the airline ecosystem is akin to, business being a cost guzzler. So what bold structural reforms in terms of taxes, new regulatory authorities, airport monetization are needed?
Simple, and what we've been trying to tell the government for the last 50 years. First of all, you must have, this is a very high technical field. Aviation, not a field to be run by bureaucrats. And you've had bureaucrats running it for years. And therefore, the restructuring of the whole office of the DGCA, having professionals who are trained and experienced, should be running DGCA itself, not bureaucrats. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, we've had a number of accidents. We've had recent accident also of Air India, and many others have that happen. And we have a positive solution. I have a guaranteed solution for the Prime Minister. If he listens only for 10 minutes, I can give a guarantee that you will reduce accidents in this country drastically or even eliminate them. People need to listen to aviation experts. I've been in this business for more than 50 years trying to improve the system, and you have been stonewalled by the DGCA essentially, and by the people who matter.
All right, Mr. Wadia and Mr. Panesar, thank you so much for joining this hour with your views, and all we hope this problem get resolved soon and the passengers get relief. With this, it's time to take a very quick break, and after the break, a lot coming up.